Cool.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Love Fruit podcast. To check out more of what we've got going on, feel free to go to fruitfest.co.uk. Thank you for joining us today. We have another fantastic guest for you. Very much looking forward to hearing more about their story. And we are speaking to Lena Ropp, who is well known on Instagram as PureVeganFood, at PureVeganFood. She has 258,000 followers and counting, and is a raw food chef and offers a lot more than that as well. And I'm looking forward to speaking to her today about her journey to becoming a raw food chef and how that all happened. Lena, is there anything else you would like to say about yourself in introduction before we get going?
Oh, thank you so much, Ronnie, for having me. Such a pleasure to talk to you, to speak to your audience. It's really amazing. You're in UK, I'm in California, and we're talking about raw foods because raw foods connect, like it doesn't matter where you are. If you're interested in healthy lifestyle, so raw foods is the way where eventually you'll come, and some people come to raw foods right away, like it happened to me. Some people do it, in stages. They first, reduce some animal product, then they come to vegetarian, then they come to plant-based, and then eventually they come to raw foods. As for my personal experience, I was lucky enough when I started being interested in, healthy lifestyle. Actually, a few components, influenced that. First of all, I became a mom, and so now I have two of my kids, and they are 8 and 11 years old, and I have 2 stepkids. So 4 in general. We are a big family. Always so much fun. And also, so these are all great events happening in my life, kids, and I had my marketing event company for a long time, pretty successful, having huge success, lots of, cool events happening in life. So everything's great. But at the same time, I'm losing my dad, he's dying at the age of 54. And of course, the biggest effect why it happened to him because of his, lifestyle choices. And he was precautioned by his doctors to cut on eating, animal proteins, to cut on human alcohol, to cut on, smoking cigarettes. And he was, kind of cutting all this, but not changing his life completely. And I'm thinking like, if, I was now with him, we could probably change it, all the way. But anyways, that's what happened. So he's not with us now, but it influenced on my lifestyle choices tremendously. Because, as soon as I became mom, I realized, wow, I want to be with my kids for as long as possible, and be, on all cool events in their life, and, really like, experience all cool happenings in their future, their kids, and becoming a grandma, and, all this stuff, and understanding how easily you can lose this, in your life. And I had this, sad experience, right next to me, my dad, and knowing how I really want to be with my kids, this was like a trigger for me. So you're not playing anymore. We're really making healthy choices, not like little by little here and there, but really like driving into health and, finding the way how I can be healthy, how I can look good, how I can feel good, and how I, in general, just being the best version of myself. And we all understand that there are so many things which apply to that, like so many things you have to do, not only food, but food anyways is the biggest component. And so I accidentally watched Food Inc. and it's just, crushed me completely. It's just opened my eyes 100% to things which I didn't even know existed. I didn't that it's so bad. And so I watched it from the beginning till very end, just really like watching it and absorbing all the information. After that, I watched, Forks Over Knives and, Earthlings and all, like whatever I could find at this point. And it's just like, it wasn't even a question for me to stop consuming any animal products. And it wasn't even a question for me to stop consuming as much processed food as possible. So we just came to our kitchen, cleaned our cabinets, cleaned refrigerator, which was pretty clean, but not clean at all. So we just, completely changed the way we feed our bodies, completely the way we feed our kids. And from there it started. And I was lucky enough to, from the beginning, to run into Doug's 80-10, book. Mm-hmm. And and like seeing, wow, like this is exist, like this is how actually it's natural for human being to eat, is consuming all this abundance of fresh fruits, lots of fruits, vegetables, leafy greens, and everything is so easy and everything is so delicious. And we just, we lived at that point in California, just like an hour from LA wholesale produce market. So it was easy to buy boxes of all these fruits. And we just, from eating from Costco or from, local, whatever markets, we just started eating from LA wholesale produce market, just like buying ton of this, fruits and, some vegetables, of course, lots of leafy greens, but fruits like a main focus point. And so for me, it was like just like jumping from, normal diet, which is like always restricting, always lots of dieting, always lots of, punishing yourself and, not being satisfied within your own body. For me, it was just like diving into this like cool, healthy lifestyle. And and I had my turns, to more gourmet foods, to more high fat foods, to, some of kind of this like, turning from them. But I'm still, believing that like 80-10, this is like just a magical way to live your life. But at the same time, I understand how for lots of people, it's difficult to change the mentality, from eating what people eat to eating this. And they're like, is this your food? Yes, that's my food. And so it's a journey. It's fun in school. And now, like talking about my whole family, kids, my husband, my mom, she lives with us. We all, thriving on raw foods, thriving on fruits. We still have all these boxes of fruits, we buy them every week in big quantities, and we eating a lot. We are a big family, and we just, all having fun with it, and all having great energy and clarity of mind, and so many things accomplished and so many things planned ahead. It's just magical. It's just awesome. And so that's my mission, like to be an example, not to push everyone into doing this, because everyone has his own journey, his own way, his own, situation in life. But just being an example. And guys, it works. And it works not only for myself, it works for my whole family. And it works beautifully. And if you're interested, come along, join us. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, thank you very much. So let's go back to your beginning. I mean, where are you originally from and how were you brought up?
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for asking. I'm from Kazakhstan originally. It's a country in Central Asia, Mongolia, China, this direction. And I was lucky enough to have a summer garden since forever. We had a big summer garden growing all our fruit, all our vegetables. So, and we would grow so much, then we would like preserve them, ferment them. And so we would eat all year round. We barely were buying any kind of this stuff, but we were buying, of course, meat, cheese, ice cream, like all kinds of what we wouldn't grow on our land, we would buy. And meat was a big part of my upbringing. So because, in Kazakhstan, people are quite meat eaters. So you eat basically everything that moves. And my father was a hunter, actually. So we would eat, even deers, bears, and all the stuff. So, and I was, as a kid, I had no idea that there is any other way. That's how we were fed. That's how we were, growing. And I never even questioned, is it bad or good? It's just the way what, my parents put me on a plate, or my grandparents put in front of me on a plate. But when I moved out from my house, I kind of like naturally navigated from eating less and less meat. It was just not appealing for me. I like would rarely eat like on some occasions, parties, but like naturally just transitioning more and more to like from eating meat to consuming once in a while some seafood, some maybe poultry, but not like meat. And then when we moved to United States, it was already 10 years ago. And so, we started just exploring what's going on, but I was always like, always, I easily gain weight. Like many women have issue, many women don't have, and they're lucky. I'm not as lucky, so I'm very easily gain weight. So I always have to watch what I eat, and have to go to the gym and all that stuff. And but when we switched to raw vegan lifestyle 7.5 years ago, almost 8, it will be 8 in March actually. So it's just naturally became, I came to my natural weight. I came to naturally feeling great every single morning, and it just works magic, like seriously. So punish myself anymore. I don't do like all these gyms like nonstop. I do my yoga, I do meditations, I walk outside every single day with my puppy for 1 hour. So I kind of found that for me, again, it's for me. For lots of other people, gym and weights, it's like what's powerful and great. But I just found that I should listen to my body and listen like what works good for me. And this is what works for me now, maybe in a few years, something else, I will come back to, more like exercise. But now I find this works awesome. And I kind of like very happy and very pleased with what I'm doing.
Did you have any health issues growing up?
I was lucky not to have any, actually. Yeah. I was growing as any girl, having pimples on my face, and, having all this stuff, which is not a health issue. It is just like, your dietary choices, consequences. And so now I have my 12-year-old and she's with us only every other weekend, as it's my stepdaughter. And so when she's with us, or sometimes she's with us even during the week when it's like holidays or summertime. So we see how during this week being with us, her skin gets so much better. So she comes with us all covered in a week, almost all, faded out. And so like a living example how like even for kids, like for this like small kids, when they have issues, how easily with eliminating sugar, bread, and eliminating processed food and cheese and this kind of stuff, which she basically eats at home, she easily comes to like clean skin, more confidence in herself. And it's all builds up, when you have these issues, it's kind of like stuck for a long time inside of your head. Oh, I'm not good enough, I am not worth enough, and all this stuff, starts kind of like piles up. That's why for small girls, and it's cool if their moms, know this, how really dietary choices affect, not only the way, but the way what they have, in their head for many years, to go.
Yeah.
That would be cool if moms would help, kids, girls especially, not only girls, boys also. And have this, but making these choices to get a better foundation, for. I believe it's all connected.
What were the first things that made you start to change your lifestyle or move away from, what the mainstream was doing in terms of diet, in terms of lifestyle? What was it that inspired you to start looking at making changes to that?
You mean even before becoming plant-based?
Yeah, well, what made you start to move away from the diet you were brought up on, I suppose?
Mm-hmm. I would say just listening to my body, like just listening what really I'm craving and what's really makes me feel good, and what really makes me feel good at the moment I eat and in an hour after I eat next day,
Yeah.
So kind of just your body. I think like it's a great habit to like really start listening and making conclusions. And some people do like they do like this food blogs, where they put what they eat. I never actually done this, but I knew that it works for many, many people. But just like really knowing that eating this kind of food, you feel bad, and you wake up, like with face, you don't want to, look at a mirror. And if you're eating clean, if you're eating healthy, you wake up glowing every day, and you wake up without any alarm. You wake up because you just want to wake up and do all these awesome things you have in your life. So I would say maybe this.
Sure. You're from Kazakhstan, which is really interesting. I had no idea you were from Kazakhstan. I've heard I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've heard people say that apples, the fruit apples, actually come from Kazakhstan originally, and there are apparently forests in Kazakhstan where apples grow wild. Is that true?
It's absolutely true. And yeah, I'm glad that you brought this up. Apples, like everybody knows what is apples, and people kind of like don't even think like where they come from, where they originated. And yes, exactly, they originated in Kazakhstan, so in my home country. And of course, they were super small, super tiny in the beginning. Then they developed all these different varieties, and you can now find any kinds of apple. But I have to tell you, the apples I was growing up with have nothing in common with what I can find, in a store. So it's so, changed, it's like completely different thing. But you see the wild apples from, originally they came from Kazakhstan, and then they were brought, with the Silk Road, they brought to other countries.
Is there any particular place in Kazakhstan that would be good to visit, maybe to see these kind of apple forests? Is there a possibility of actually going and seeing that?
Yeah, you should go to. There is a city called Alma-Ata, and it's translated. It's a former capital, and it's translated like grandfather of apples.
Oh,
And
wow,
so
okay.
all around, so all around the city there are like apple farms, and like just wild apple forests. So I actually would love to take my husband and kids, to go there and to just like explore all this and dive into, because after Kazakhstan, I moved out from Kazakhstan at the age of 19, and then I lived in St. Petersburg in Russia for a long time, because that's where I got my marketing degree. I graduated from St. Petersburg State University with a marketing degree, and I was working in the marketing field for quite a long time. And then I opened my own event agency, and I've been like just crushing the event market for quite a long time. And then I won a green card, and so here I am for 10 years already in California. So I like that life getting all these amazing chances, but again, when you open to cool things happen to you, I believe that's when they happen.
What kind of events were you running in Russia?
So we were like St. Petersburg is a beautiful city, 17th century city with lots of palaces, castles. So like architecture is just mind blowing, and so we were organizing very cool wedding events. So Yes. So we would rent a castle. We would invite all, the best caterings, all the best florists, and, all kinds of entertainment. And and we would plan every wedding for like a year, so it will be like whole production. It would be like super cool event. And
That's incredible.
It was pretty awesome time. Like really like living in a fairy tale, like nonstop.
So at that point in your life, living in Russia, working there, and when you were studying there, were you already making changes to your diet then, or were you still on a kind of conventional diet at that point?
I was making my connections, reducing like almost, completely eliminating any meat, products, but I still having lots of like seafood, it was the era when Japanese restaurants were like in full bloom, and they were like, it was like the most cool thing, like to eat sushis and everything. And of course I had no idea about conspiracy or this kind of situation in the world, which we are aware now, right? So I was so much seafood, and of course I was making healthy choices in preparation, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, but not the way we're doing this now. Like it was still like I didn't know that this is what happening. And I had only one friend who was vegetarian, and she was kind of always not the way I would be attracted to vegetarianism. So she was kind of like always like very shy, very like into her own world, like very quiet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she just doesn't have energy because she doesn't consume anything other than vegetables. That was my thought, and everybody. So I just didn't have good examples. But once, like we were organizing for our clients all the time some cool events after the wedding, like, inviting some of our brides and do some workshops together. So kind of like, creating a community and still, with them. And once we invited a raw food chef from Bali. And I'm so bad, I don't remember her name. I so apologize. I wish I remembered. I need to maybe ask, see if I can get it back, and now. But she lived on the Bali for a while, and she came back. She was Russian, and she came back, and she was now teaching some classes. And so we did this class for our customers, and of course I was there. And so we were making like, what we were making, like green smoothie, some like created, I think, like kale chips and a little bit dessert. So like, very like basic, like small things. And I was fascinated. It was so delicious. It was so delicious. It was so yummy. And she kind of had some introduction, which, specified how cool is it to eat raw and how cool is it to be vegan. But it wasn't, it didn't touch me so deep enough.
Yeah.
So I would go for it. So I just had in my wow, it's pretty cool, but it didn't like resonated with me to like jump into it and started doing this. But it was like very small little glimpse into, okay, what it can be. But then when we were already here in California and we started diving into plant-based lifestyle after reading and watching, lots of information, I was fascinated by Matthew Kenny. He had this his restaurants in Venice, and so we would go and experience all these raw cheeses and raw foods. And they were like in LA, there's quite a number of restaurants which specialize in raw vegan cuisine. So it was great to go and experience all kinds of cool creations, pasta or pizza and all this stuff, like how it can be. So it was quite a journey. Yeah, interesting.
Fantastic. So is it more when you came to California that you started going further into veganism and raw foods?
It's when we watched the Food Inc., and which tremendously changed the like our mindset, our all completely like view on things, like what's happening in the industry, when in agriculture, what's happening with farming, what's happening with medical system in general, and how like people just so misinformed about real situation, and how people just have no idea but just go with the flow. And I decided, okay, I don't want to go with the flow. Doesn't work for me, doesn't sound good. I don't want to have this outcomes and have all these pills on my counter, and like I'm just completely out of this stream, how you say, mainstream.
And so what were your first steps like changing your diet? What did you actually, was it all in one day? Was it overnight? Was it bit by bit? How did
for us it was overnight, like I don't recommend doing this for other people, because I believe that, everybody has its own journey, and like people mostly are like paced, phased the transition. But for us it happened overnight. So we just came to, as I told you, like we watched these movies, like we were watching for like a week, like every day, because we were like, just, oh my gosh, if it's true, like we want like more proof, we want to watch more, we want to like absorb more information, and just like dialing in it's inside our head. And then as I said, we just cleaned our cabinets, we cleaned the refrigerator, and we just start buying a great amount of fresh produce. And so it was really cool that we just Googled, okay, where get the best deals on fruits and vegetables, because we want to buy them in big quantities. And it was great that we found that people were sharing about LA wholesale produce market, and we lived like 1 hour drive from it if you go not in a rush hours. So my husband would wake up super early in the morning, go there once a week, brings a whole car of fruits and vegetables. And when you have abundance of fruits, when you have abundance of fresh produce, big variety, it's pretty easy, like you just start making all these smoothies. You just we right away we got Vitamix. For me it was like, oh my gosh, how Costco to buy Vitamix. For me it was so expensive, but we decided, okay, we're going to use it very often. We would love to have good quality, and like everybody was saying that Vitamix is the best one. So we got Vitamix. We started making all this kind of blends and smoothies, or just eating whole fruits. And yeah, so it was quite easy, because like we were really open to learn. And at that point, 8 years ago, there was already a movement of people who've been living this life, and they were all eager to share. So we kind of like just dived into this, like starting following some influencers, who, sharing about this lifestyle. And like it's kind of grew from there.
And do you think you made any mistakes looking back when you started to make that transition?
So the mistakes, I would say, very soon, as soon as we moved to this lifestyle, I discovered all kinds of gourmet foods. And so all kinds of gourmet foods, it's like, dressings, which are based on cashew, or desserts, which are based on cashew. And so I just started, and it was like from influencers, who I would like trust. Okay, then it means it's okay to eat so much of this, fats. And you see, I kind of like for a while forgot about 8-10 combination, and I just, moved into this kind of delicious, still super healthy, still no animal products, still nothing processed, but very like fat loaded foods, which taste delicious, but it didn't make you this amount of energy, this amount of health, which you can experience eating low fat. And I think it's all okay. It's like a learning curve, like you should, but like we people, at least myself, I always learn with my own experience. So I need to make my own mistake to realize that, okay, that's actually not works as well. Like some people, they just read the book and they, oh, okay, I'll just do like that. Awesome. Like I sometimes, kind of like step into something, but now I know exactly that if I eat more fat, I know exactly how I will feel. And that's why I choose not to, but sometimes I still do, and I know exactly how I will feel, and I will not being discouraged. I will just know that the next day I will add less fat, and I will feel great. Or I choose not to eat, this big amount of fat because I want to feel every single day awesome. But there are, like some days like, when you eat extra durian, let's say, and it's like all fat. It's like there are some days when it's okay to go a little bit backwards, because that tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and, all the time ahead, you'll just, be pushing forward. So, yeah. And so I think that would be the main one. And there were also times when I was so excited. I had a challenge with my girlfriend to lose some pounds. And I was kind of like in a nice weight, but I knew that I can be better. And so we had this challenge to lose some pounds. And I turned into vegan keto for a few months. So but so it means like eating again, nuts, avocado, lots of leafy greens, lots of vegetables, but less fruit.
Yeah.
And it's worked awesome. I felt good. I really lost this, how much it was, like 8 pounds, which were just, it's not a lot, but they were just sitting on me. And, I felt like I want to kind of like, a little bit move into this direction. And so it was kind of okay for a few months, but then I started like feeling, okay, I don't have enough energy. I really want this fruit. And I see my kids are eating fruits all the time and I'm not eating the fruit. And like, I really felt like I want my fruit back, seriously. And so that's what I had this period also, which is like, I'm not proud of it, but at the same time, I'm not ashamed talking about it. It was also like, kind of like my discovery. And so yeah, I had this thing going on. And I think the most mistake I see other people doing when they just not eating enough, they just, they show it, they're making, let's say, a smoothie. Okay, and this smoothie is made of like 1 banana and half cup of berries. Okay, it's not a food, it's just, a snack or something, but you can't call it breakfast or lunch or anything. When I make my breakfast, I usually actually for breakfast do lots of juices, this kind of things, like very light. But for lunch, I always make a big smoothie, and it will be like lots of bananas, it will be persimmons, it will be berries, so it will be like, it will be like very good amount of food. So I eat it, and then for a few hours I don't even think about food because I'm just so full, I'm so satisfied, I feel so awesome, and I don't even think about eating anything till dinner time. And then on dinner we always have very big salads, nice big salads loaded with greens and vegetables, and I make a nice dressing, and again, and it's like eating the salad, I actually like, I always have a like micro orgasm, because I'm just like love it, it's so delicious, so satisfying, it's so like I eat it and I'm like, oh babe, like I don't know who can make like what restaurant so who will make us like salad like this. So like home, like switching to going to restaurants to making all the food at home, it was also a huge transition, because we go now sometimes once in a while with my husband for a date night, kind of like get away from kids for a while, but we will eat at home, and then in a restaurant we will eat just some a little bit, like because their salad in the restaurant will be like our appetizer, like, kind of like little food to imagine, but not kind of like feeding you. So we'll usually eat at home. So this was a big thing, like prioritizing cooking at home, not cooking, like making raw food at home. So that's huge. And another big thing which happened 2 years ago, we completely stopped consuming alcohol. That's
Right.
a big one. That's, I think, one of the biggest one, Yeah. So I actually, when we just switched to raw vegan lifestyle, I stopped drinking alcohol for like, I would say 5 or 6 months. And it was very easy here in California, not drinking, just, everywhere walking with your, bottle or jar with water. And, I always order in a restaurant, just water and lemon and, or virgin mojito or something. So here for me was easy. When we came back to Russia, and in Russia, it's just like, you sit on the table and there is, glass of wine, it's like people, it's just like, and we had a friend, he was making his own wine, he's from Georgia and they're doing like the best red wine ever. The most delicious, the most clean, without any preservatives, anything. And so he talked us into trying his wine because he made it specially for us. And we had this wine. He gave us home wine, and so we got back to drinking wine. It was like this, and so since then I'm like, oh, it's okay drinking wine, it's okay, but it's actually not okay. It's completely numbs up your everything. You stop thinking clearly. You stopped planning ahead clearly. You just like going with the flow, which which people choose. It's fine, and it was fine for me for a while. But then after we decided like 2 years ago, okay, we just don't want this anymore in our lives, and our life just like from here just like there, it's just like you're like hiding by all the substances, all your full potential.
Right.
And when you stop doing this, oh my gosh, life is just surprise you in so many ways. I'm so open to that, and I really love now like alcohol-free life. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. Yeah.
What is a typical day for you like now, and including like your diet and any other sort of health practices that you incorporate on a daily basis?
Oh yeah, it's a huge question. Thanks so much for asking, because I think that the way you start your day actually affects your whole day. And it's not like you're doing this once a week. Sometimes it's actually like a practices which I do every single day. And for me, they work beautifully. And I'm always sharing about this and inspiring people to at least incorporate some of them into the lifestyle to be ready to see the changes. So what I do every morning, I wake up every morning and I start with my 5-minute journal. So I write what I'm grateful for. And I'm setting my intentions, and it's very small, it's not like writing for half an hour. It takes me really 5 minutes, just to like, put some points and like my mindset in the right direction. So then I move to my meditation space and I just meditate, and depending on the day, I usually find for me works the best like 20 minutes or 30 minutes meditations. So they let me to dive, deep into the special state and really like, again, set all the best intentions. But sometimes when I'm super in a hurry, I will still do like 12-15 minute meditation. And it's also, makes a huge difference. So meditation is number 2. Then I do yoga. I love doing yoga online. I used to go to this yoga studio all the time, but now since this 2 years situation, I've been doing online at home, and it totally works. I have all the space here. Sometimes kids join, sometimes my husband join. So we just do yoga. And again, I find 30 minutes working the best for me. I hardly do 1 hour class, but sometimes I do. But like for me, 30 minutes is like, it's enough time to stretch into every directions, to feel your every muscle, to like really, set great, love for all your body, like literally, like yoga is magical. So, and after this yoga, I take my puppy and we go for a walk every day. And the walk usually takes 1 hour. And during the walk, I love to listen to podcasts, I love to, learning something, to like spend this time really valuable. Sometimes I walk with a friend, but mostly I walk by myself, just with the dog, because I like, like being in nature. And at the same time, I'm so like ready to observe, after all my practices, I'm so ready to observe and to learn and to get, into the best state of mind. So that's how morning starts. And of course, I make my juices. And then only after that, I open my emails and, with all this good, few hours it takes, takes at least 2 hours, all what I just mentioned. I open my emails and I start, I collaborate with friends. I work on my ebooks. I work on a few projects, and that's when I'm ready, to answer to all the emails and to write everything I plan in, and to dive into work.
So
yeah.
what is it that, so you transitioned obviously to starting to actually promote this information and help others. How did that start and happen? And you've obviously had great success doing that. It'd be nice to hear a bit about that.
I mean, all these practices, so I knew always that I started yoga actually, I would say at 19, first time when I attended yoga class, and I was pretty lucky to attend a good quality yoga class. So the teacher was a guy, and he was like pretty experienced. He was like around 50 years old, very like deeply experienced. And so it was great yoga class, and it was amazing meditation time. And he would teach us, all the techniques, and it's really like dive deep into me. And he actually also taught about detoxification importance, to use a tongue scraper, every morning, to and drink water the first time you wake up and everything. So I learned a lot from him. But then I moved from the place where he was teaching, and I kind of was distressed with other things in my life, so I didn't get back to yoga. But I started practicing yoga, I would say, more active when I moved to United States, because I kind of had time, and I wanted to go to the gym, and I wanted to connect with the community, and yoga and gym is kind of like a place to do so. So I would say that I'm practicing yoga for at least 10 years for now, really on a consistent basis. And as for meditations, I always knew that these things exist, but I never knew how to do this. And I started meditating 3 years ago. And for me, it was important, to make my meditation spot. So to make my place, to not just sit in silence. I know lots of people just sit in silence. No, it doesn't matter where they are. But for me, it was important to create my space, and have my candles and have my all the stuff. And I had my birthday coming up, and I just made a wish list, because all friends were asking, okay, what you want, what are you interested in? And I'm just putting my wish list, candles, essence, sage, all kinds of little crystals, little this and that. And I just created my cute meditation spot, which would draw me into coming there every day and meditating. And so since then, I started meditating every single day. Sometimes I skip for some reasons, but I know that whenever I skip, I try to meditate then later during the day, but the best for me is meditating first thing in the morning, when you still, your head is just slow, thinking about your things to do, thinking how to answer to this email, thinking about, replying to these messages. You're thinking just concentrating on yourself, first thing in the morning is just a blessing. So yeah, you see, it's came to me little by little, all these techniques and practices came little by little, and now they are all bind up together, and it's a great way to really feeling so fulfilled from the beginning, and sharing all this good energy with whoever you encounter, whoever you talk during the day, whoever you getting connected. You just so in love with person, what's going on around you. You're so in love with yourself, and you're kind of mirroring this life and love and kindness to the whole world around you.
And did that lead to you wanting to share on Instagram?
Yeah, I share in my stories all the time, and I share in some of my reels, and now I'm getting request to really share not just what I do, but with all the details, what exactly I meditate on, how many minutes, what exactly time I start, and sharing more in details, because people they understand, and I share oh, it gets good intention, it's such a great positive practice for you, but they want had a request please do this 10% and 90%, all the details, dive into exactly how it's happening, exactly what you're doing. I'm really? Okay, if you're interested, yeah, I'll probably start doing this into more kind of detailed technique.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's cool, it's nice to communicate with your audience and hear what they interested in. Yeah, and really trying to like being more of a use, more of a service, because I believe that, you know, it took me a while to get into it, and if I can some people to get into this quicker, you know, it's cool. You know, that's what I would love to, you know, to see that people you know, transforming and transitioning and, you know, just becoming happier and you know, all of that. It's cool. The more people like this, the better the world, right?
Fantastic. So how can people learn more about you and follow you? Where should they go?
Yeah, please go, guys, to my Instagram account, PureVeganFood. That's the first place. And I have my blog, my Pure Vegan Food, with lots of information. And yeah, I need to expand my YouTube account. I still didn't do this, but I promise I will. And you know, so I share lifestyle. You know, I'm raw food chef, and I'm very big on recipes. I'm very big on food. You know, I do this beautiful foods, you know, every single day, and I have more pictures in my phone than I can post on my platform, because, you know, it's just like I can post 10 times a day, right? But I make lots of food, and they're not just beautiful, they just delicious and super easy to make. And that's why I share in my stories a lot. I share in my reels a lot, and of course I share some of the recipes. But I also have a few ebooks where I have all the recipes combined. So if you're curious to dive into recipes, I have ebooks. I also working on a whole, you know, healthy lifestyle course now, where I can incorporate not just food, but all the other, you know, practices and lifestyle, you know, tips, which I feel work for myself, and people are curious to learn more about them. So, and it's, you know, it's about, of course, mindful practices. It's about, you know, healthy relationships with family, healthy relationships with the community, you know, whether they are in the same lifestyle, you know, like myself, or they share different, you know, situations. So how we navigate and how we deal with it. So it's like how we sleep and how we just, you know, it's like how we hydrate our bodies, how we, like, it's so many components into healthy lifestyle. It's not only about food. And so that's why I'm trying to expand now more into this, and trying to provide to my audience as much information about, you know, all of that. And I know that there are lots of moms, there are lots of busy moms, busy guys who are interested, and they are so like, they really would love to have this, like, you know, information combined all together. But the biggest thing, we move into Costa Rica very soon, because we building a house, our house, you know, my dream house, you know, like dream house. And we building a retreat center there. So we're gonna do retreats. I want to make them very small and very, you know, individual, you know, very personalized. So it will be like 10, 15 people maximum, but I would prioritize like 10, 12 people. 10 is like the best number. So it will be like all about everything, you know. It will be breath work, yoga, meditation, of course, to start the day. It will be all juices and raw living foods and all the abundance of fruits during the day. It will be lots of mindfulness, lots of, you know, like workshops, lots of, you know, creativity workshops, and of course it will be surf and, you know, all the ocean activities, because we like, you know, 5 minutes from the ocean. And so it will be great experience to come for a week and just dive into these exact, like, you know, the like super kind way of living, you know, kind way of living to your body, to the planet, to animals, to everything, and just like see how it works. And I truly believe that, you know, it's super transformative for many of people. And yeah, just dive into this paradise of really where you first think about your body, you know, because we can't change the world without changing ourselves. So you first think about like how you really can take care of your body the best way, how you can really take care about your mindset and your heart, and you know, like about your whole feeling, the first thing, you know, and change into being more loving, more kinder, more like kind person. And you know, all these components, they play a role, you know, like which I already mentioned. Yeah, and then you can go back to your world and, you know, try to infect all these cool things to other people. And, you know, if you really, I hope that people will really like our retreat, so they're going to come back and bring more friends, and it will be like, you know, at least once a year, you know, activity which they will, you know, come and experience. Yeah, so that's a dream which is coming true, you know, which actually coming true. So the whole next year we are constructing, and starting January 2023, we hope to have first groups of cool people.
Thank you, Liana. That was Fantastic. It's great to learn more about you, and I really look forward to hearing more about the retreat centre when that's done. And I'd like to thank everyone who's watched and listened. And if you want to learn more about Lena, you can follow her at PureVeganFood on Instagram to stay in touch. And any last bits of advice, Lena, before we finish today?
Oh, I would say, guys, seriously, like make a choice every single day. Every day you have a choice, you have a choice to do something good for yourself and something good for the planet in general, but just like doing like a good choices. So listen to your heart, like close your eyes, listen to your heart, and your heart will say, what is the best choice. And seriously, this every choice, it affects who you are becoming tomorrow, and what direction you move in, and what you whole community, you like every choice, every even like small little thing really makes a big difference. So listen to your heart, be kind to yourself, and be kind to people around you.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Lena. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. Follow us at fruitfest.co.uk, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Love Fruit podcast.
Thank you, Ronnie.